the Top Gun Journal spells out everything we're supposed to do, including crew resource management. And what it means is basically that we are better than me, and that your strengths can overcome my weaknesses and vice versa. That if we work together better, we can pool our resources. It's just a force multiplier.
Welcome to Engage Presents. I'm Engage co-founder and president Jake Olson. In this interview series, I ask Engage talent the most common questions we hear from event planners to help you get to know them and their stories in 15 minutes or less. Thanks for listening. Welcome to another episode of Engage Presents. I am Engage president Jake Olson. Alongside me today, a very special guest, Jack Becker. Jack is a former F-18 fighter pilot in Top Gun. You heard me correctly. Also a speaker on leadership, teamwork, and performance execution. But Jack, I think most people hear that Top Gun and they probably stop in their tracks. Is that usually what happens?
Yes. It's thank goodness that Jerry Bruckheimer and Tom Cruise made the new movie, is all I'll say. I was making Top Gun jokes from the stage, and there was, not even young people in the workforce in the audience that don't get it, because that 1986 is an old movie. So I'm glad we got a little bit revitalized with the new Top Gun Maverick movie for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we'll definitely get into that. But before you were a speaker, before you were probably flying F-18s, you were at the Naval Academy, and again, thank you so much for your service. But you were at the Naval Academy, and you played both football and ice hockey there. So I played football, as you know, Jack. I've never been slammed into the boards. I've taken hits, but never slammed into the boards. What hurts more?
I think I was just a glutton for punishment, trying to be an option quarterback at the Naval Academy, and then, like you said, getting checked as well. I think a blindside defensive end probably still hurts more.
I would think so, especially probably. I don't know. I guess you're either on ice or in Annapolis. I guess the ground gets pretty cold too. So either way, you're getting slammed in probably ice cold ground, huh?
Yes, and Jake, I got to tell you, I went to the Naval Academy thinking I was going to rewrite all Roger Staubach's records. And it turns out his records are safe. I had a very, very unillustrious football career there where I was cut twice, had to re-walk on back twice. But it was cool just to be a part of it for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So now on to your speaking. You talked about something that's called crew resource management. How do you explain that and help resonate it to your audiences?
It's a great question. The whole idea behind crew resource management and really the Top Gun Journal itself, the Top Gun Journal, Jake, is just the Bible with which we do everything as fighter pilots. It tells me how to execute maneuvers in the airplane, but it even tells me how I'm supposed to rest and recover after working out, what I'm supposed to do in the gym, how I'm supposed to eat nutritionally. So the Top Gun Journal spells out everything we're supposed to do, including crew resource management. And what it means is basically that we are better than me, and that your strengths can overcome my weaknesses and vice versa. That if we work together better, we can pool our resources. It's just a force multiplier. So it's just the idea that we are better than me.
I love that. Absolutely love that. So you also talk about your audiences. You share skills on how to, execute these high pressure situations, on how to perform in those situations. I'm guessing, flying some of those planes is probably as high pressure as it can get. So one fun question: what is the hardest maneuver in an F-18 that you have to pull off? And two, to help a normal person in a normal job, what skills can you share that helps them, perform whatever that equivalent move is in their respective career?
The most difficult maneuver is probably defensive BFM. BFM is basic fighter maneuvering. That's just dog fighting.
Okay.
That's just one-on-one, kind of two gladiators enter, one shall leave kind of thing. And we practice neutral starts. We'll practice an offensive start or a defensive start. And when you're defensive, everything about it is uncomfortable because you're kind of flying either right or left-handed on the stick, turn all the way around in the cockpit trying to see the aircraft behind you. All the while your spine is then twisted, and then pulling G's on top of that is really uncomfortable. Defensive BFM was one of my least favorite things physically, just because it's so taxing on the body. And I think my back and neck are still paying the price for it today. One of the things I think that comes out in my keynote that people can take as an immediate actionable takeaway is the true transparency and vulnerability we have with each other in the debriefs. And that is truly how we get better every single day, is we're honest with each other in the debriefs. And we share with each other, what are 3 great things you did today or on this mission or this week, however long you want to have this debrief session for. Give me 3 great things you did today, Jake. And even if something you thought was obvious, it may not be obvious to me if I'm a little bit newer or inexperienced. So now I have that tool in my toolbox. I have that skill set in my tool bag. And everybody goes around the room sharing just best practices, right? But then the transparency and vulnerability come in where we share 3 mistakes we've made. And it's really powerful thing. If I have the fortitude to share with you, here's the situation, here's the mistake I made, here's what I should have done correctly. Now, when you or Lena are faced with that next week, you're going to get it right because I had the courage to share it.
Yeah.
So we don't hide our mistakes at all. And I'm not afraid of mistakes. We have this culture where we embrace mistakes, because if we're open about them, they're never going to happen in this squadron again. What I'm scared of is you keeping a mistake to yourself and then me unknowingly repeating that mistake. And mistakes can then live within an organization like a cancer. So one of the things I think that the movies were a little bit artificial about, because they needed a protagonist and antagonist kind of thing, is there's no huge overarching egos. The whole idea is, how can we get better as a team? And so that fighter pilots have this true transparency and vulnerability of, how can you help me get better? How can I help you get better?
I love that. So as a team, how can organizations both improve on speed and accuracy when having to make decisions?
That's a great question. I think it comes right back to what I keep saying is, what has made us the best in the world is how we structure our debrief. And we focus very much on repeating our successes and stop repeating our failures, right? So that one of the most powerful things I hear from my clients 3 months, 6 months, a year after my event is people will reach out to me and say that they're super fired up because the mistakes that they're focusing on now in the debriefs have all gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, because they've eliminated all the big ones. Now what they're talking about when they talk about the negatives or their mistakes is all just minutia, because they've already taken care of all the big deals. So I think with just that trust and confidence in each other to share our successes and then share our mistakes is how we can have better speed and accuracy in our decision making.
What is the secret to a team truly buying into a mission?
I think, well, that starts for us on day 1 of boot camp, right? When we all kind of take an oath of office and you're signing up to defend something that's larger than yourself and all that. So the mission, the buy-in starts on, for us, day 1 of boot camp. What I think is super exciting about introducing the crew resource management idea is that using this brief, execute, debrief, perfect model, using that over and over again, can develop this kind of same camaraderie. And that's the true success of the U.S. military, right? Is the camaraderie. It develops that camaraderie because you have trust and confidence in your teammates. I think it develops a super fun culture where everybody's sharing. And we have this idea of psychological security. And the past few years, some HR departments have been calling it psychological safety. And I'm not crazy about that term, because when I hear psychological safety, I envision like a hard hat and a yellow reflective vest. And that's not at all what psychological security is. Psychological security means that you and I feel free and unencumbered to bring up thoughts, concerns, or way outside the box ideas without fear of ridicule or reprimand. And that having that psychologically secure environment lets everybody show up with their own version of their A game, right, every single day. And so they're kind of buying into the mission because we breed this camaraderie. And one of the stories I tell in my keynote is that the camaraderie is such a powerful force, certainly in the U.S. military. But when I talk about our most highly decorated troops, that's the unbelievable people who've been awarded the Medal of Honor for bravery in combat. When these heroes asked why they would do something so unbelievably heroic, their answers echo nothing of patriotism. Nobody ever jumped on a grenade for their country, or nobody ever ran into gunfire for the American flag. When all these heroes asked why they did it, their answers all very similarly echo, for the men and women in my unit, like comrades in arms, those people in the trenches with me. So I think if we develop that kind of trust and confidence in all our teammates day in and day out, that's how we get buy-in for the mission.
Last question here. So you talk about, going back and looking at, critiquing yourself. when you go and speak afterwards, what kind of thoughts, or you look at your talk and maybe the people reaction and how they come up to you afterwards and share with you, what is most impactful to you? What are you going to look at afterwards and say, man, that really made it a success?
I think one of the things I enjoy most is that people tell me they're excited to get back to work and put my process into practice with whatever it is they do. You know, whether they're in manufacturing or healthcare or the financial industry. I like when everybody says this was super motivating, but they feel like they do have those immediate and actionable takeaways. And they said, I'm really excited to get back and start this with my team, because it is an exciting topic for sure. But I do, like I said, I love the feedback 3 months, 6 months, a year in, to hear how it's really helping people get better. Because the process of brief, execute, debrief, perfect is simple, but when executed correctly, it is truly what has made U.S. fighter pilots the best in the world at what we do. So it's applicable to almost any line of work, and I'm excited to see people put this into practice so they can become real-life Top Guns.
Absolutely love that. I know I said that was the last question, but just one more fun question. If we could throw you in a plane like right now in an F-18, and said, hey, you got 2 minutes to do whatever you want. What move, like, what would you want to do in that F-18 for 2 more minutes?
Oh gosh, that's tough. The most fun I had in the airplane, I was fortunate enough 2 summers in a row to be an air show demonstration pilot. So like flying low over cities, or like Fort Lauderdale's a great water show. Chicago's got a great water show. Performing the air show maneuvers in the F-18 is absolutely sick. I love that. But daytime aircraft carrier landings too is one of my favorite challenges. I miss that. Notice I said daytime, because
Yeah.
nighttime, still have nightmares about it. Absolutely terrifying. But I think getting catapulted off the front of the ship, going around the landing pattern and landing for 2 minutes, that might be how I want to spend it if I got one more ride in an F-18.
Absolutely crazy, Jack. We again so much appreciate just who you are, what you've done, and what you now speak about. We're very proud to be partnering with you to get your message out there. If you want to learn more about Jack, you can visit letsengage.com, check out his profile, and of course, book him there. Jack, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Jake. It was my pleasure.
Stay tuned for more Engage Presents.